Welcome to the Opt-in Podcast. I am Melissa Franks, your host, and this is episode 2 of our vacation series this summer. Today, we're talking about what you do when you return from vacation. Last week, we talked all about the tips that I have for you, the steps that you need to follow in order to ensure that you have a seamless vacation, that you can actually step away from your business, you can enjoy the time that you planned, doing whatever it is that you planned, and you come back refreshed and ready to re-enter. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that we as leaders and owners make when we come back into our business from vacation is that we jump back in. Like, we literally think that, like, this is a swimming pool and I'm going to do a cannonball and everybody's going to be so excited and it's so hot outside. They're going to love that I splashed them. And you know what happens? They're the people that are the ones that get angry that you splash them. Even if it's 110 degrees outside, they're so mad they're wet. That's literally what happens if you just jump right back into your business after you've been out. That's why we're talking today about the best way to come back into our business so that everybody's happy to see you and the business keeps running smoothly and they encourage you to go on vacation again. Because let me be clear, the goal is that your business runs so well when you're not there that you want to take more vacations. And the goal is that you come back to the business from vacation so well that your team wants you to go on more. When you can create this end-to-end circular experience for everybody that feels good for you and feels good for them, you know what they want to have happen? More of that. Sometimes when leaders or small business owners step away, they come back and they create chaos or they are highly critical. And what ends up happening is their team gets panicky and worried when they say that they're going to go on vacation. Sometimes when you step out of the business, if you didn't follow the steps in episode 1, it was so horrible of an experience for them while you were out that they don't want you to ever go again. And so these 2 episodes, we're scheduling them back to back, are intentional for you to prep and return in a way that achieves the goals that I just laid out. You're rested and you had a great time and you want to go on more vacations and they want you to. And not because you're driving them crazy, because y'all know we can drive them crazy, can we not? So today we are going to be talking about the steps to allow you to re-enter your business without chaos and disruption and that help you avoid burning out after the break that you just had. So the first step, and we already talked about this a little bit with that cannonball example. The first step is don't just dive in head first. So what I mean by that is that first day back from vacation, your calendar should be empty. That first day back from vacation, you should have a very full inbox. That first day back from vacation, you should have no agenda. And that I like to refer to as a soft landing day. Some people, I don't advise it, but some people will do that on a Sunday. I have often had a Friday be a soft landing day for me. So I will often return from vacation on a Friday and I won't have anything scheduled. I will do all of the things. And then what will happen is I will have a weekend where I don't work. And then Monday kind of is business as usual. So find a soft landing day, however you can do that. And make sure that the team understands what that's for. That it's time for you to read messages, it's time for you to get through some tasks that you knew you were going to kind of have to take care of, but they weren't urgent. It's time for the team to update you and kind of tell you what's going on. Do not schedule one-on-ones, but do check in. It's time for you to go into Slack if you use that and catch up on all of the messaging that they've been doing back and forth. It's just time for you to check back in and see exactly the lay of the land and what is going on. And it's also an opportunity for you to continue that mode of rest. It allows you to ramp up slowly. So you've just come off a period of, ideally, of deep rest. You've come off of this period where you're incredibly relaxed. You've come off of this period where schedules didn't really matter that much, unless you're a traveler that likes to really schedule yourself, which is a whole other situation, but it was scheduled for pleasure. So what you want to be able to do is come back in and reorient yourself. This is not a cold plunge scenario where you need to hold your breath and sit there for 3 minutes or whatever the cold plunge theory is now. This is an opportunity for you to come back in, to be able to take care of some of the things you need to take care of, catch up with everybody, and then bounce back out, continuing to carry that restfulness and thoughtful way that you approach the vacation through your re-entry to your business. The second step is for you to review before you react. What that means is that you're going to go back into observation mode. You're not going to try to fix anything. You're not going to try to course correct anything. You're not going to try to ideate. You are observing. I recommend, if you can, for you to come back into the business in the mindset of like a consultant, like if you hired somebody to come in as a consultant in your business. And one of the first things that consultants do is they just watch. They read things, they listen in on meetings but don't speak. They have conversations with people where they ask questions and don't pass judgment. It's just to collect information. So the first thing that you want to be able to do is understand what's happening. Check in with your team and see what they're working on. See what their priorities are. Ask them what they think that you should know about the time that you were away. Did anything come up? How was it handled? You're curious. You're observing. You're not solving problems. You're not offering suggestions. You're not giving feedback. You're not course correcting. You're observing and you're being curious. The other thing that you should be doing is reviewing all of your standard reporting, whatever it is. Dashboards, reports, QuickBooks reports, any sort of client or product metrics that you have. If you have a Shopify website, go in there and look at the data. Go look at the information. Do not come back in blazing and thinking that the house is on fire and you need to do something because you saw one thing. Go actually see what's happening. Go look at the data. Go look at the numbers. Go look at the reports. Analyze them the way that you would do anything else. Don't assume that stuff that is going on needs your input. They may already be working on tactics to improve something that you see in a report. So just understand that it's there so that when you are curious and you're having these observational moments, you can determine if they're addressing it or not. And then as you are going back through your messages, so in step one, we kind of said don't go head first. And this one, we're saying that you want to be able to review before you react. As you're going through your messages, as you're going through Slack, as you're going through anywhere else where communication happens for your business, what you want to be looking for are trends, not volume. And so what I mean by that is it's possible that there are 45 responses back and forth about the copy for an email. It's possible. And if you jump the gun and you think, oh, they need me to write the copy for the email. But if you look and you see that, in fact, there were 2 other smaller conversations about copy for another email. And then there were 2 smaller conversations around copy for social media posts. And then what you might see is that while the team is working together, they're not working efficiently on copy. And what that might tell you is that when you're not around, the team is missing an element. Are they missing strategic direction? Do they not have all of the information? Do they just, in fact, don't know who's in charge of copy and so they spin their wheels? Look at trends, not volume. If you had just focused on the thing that had the most conversations, what you would have done is go solve the copy for that one specific email, and you would have missed that, in fact, over the course of time, across a variety of mediums, there was constantly this back and forth about what do we do, what do we say, does this make sense, should we call it this, is this the way it's supposed to be? And then you can actually start to say, so like, where are we challenged? Recently, I was working with a customer on this exact topic, and what came to light was that there was a gap in the product process, and all that gap is that the extended team didn't know the inspiration for the product, because it takes 9 to 12 months to build a product. Things can get lost over time, and so when you get to the place where you're naming it or creating ads or making a launch announcement or talking about something, or 3 or 4 or 5 years later when you've decided to put something on sale and you want to talk about it, you may have lost like what it was actually invented for, like why it actually exists. And if that's information that only you have, which was the case in this scenario, you can't be removed from the copy conversation because you're the only one that knows. So while the volume was interesting, what it actually identified was we had a gap. And that's an easy gap to solve. So pay attention to trends and then analyze what's going on. Find themes. Find recurring challenges. Those are what you want to solve in your business. The really cool thing about stepping out of your business is you get to see what's working really well and what's not, and it gives you an opportunity to refine and improve. The only way you can do that is if you review what's happening as you come back in, and don't make assumptions and don't go fast. The third thing that you should do is reconnect with the vision. So what you want to do is you want to revisit what your priorities are. So as you come back in, you want to sit down and say, okay, as of this podcast being published, it's July, right? I think it's probably going to be the middle of July. So as of the middle of July, what are my priorities for the rest of the quarter? Halfway through the quarter, right? Not quite. I'm kidding. You're 2 weeks into the quarter. So what are your priorities for the quarter? What are the priorities for the back half of the year? What do you need to focus on? When you do that, you reset how you prioritize things. Because what becomes tempting is you go through your inbox, you go through the Slack channels, you talk to all the people, you review and assess, and then you have this list that's like 3 feet long of all of the things that didn't get completed quite, things you want to tweak, things that you want to improve, problems that need to be solved, etc., right? You end up with this big old laundry list. And if you don't refocus yourself on the priorities of the business, then what will happen is you will start chasing that 3 feet long to-do list, and it will send you off track. It will distract you. Here is the thing about business. There is always something to make better. There is always something that is broken. There is always something that frustrates you. If it's not critical to the mission, it's not critical right now. And you will get distracted and overwhelmed by what you can observe and what you can identify when you've stepped away. That is the benefit of stepping away, is you see things much more clearly when you come back. The downside is you see things much more clearly when you come back, and then you want to fix it. You want to rush and do all of the things. Don't. Take that list, compare it to your priorities, and I guarantee you that list will be cut probably down to 20% of what you actually need to action. Take the rest of it and throw it in backlog. It's all good stuff. It all needs to get done in due course. Just not today. Just not this quarter. Just not this year. If you skip this step, you will slow growth down in your business. If you skip this step, you will frustrate your people. If you skip this step, you will act in misalignment to your goals. I can say that with certainty because I've experienced it before. If you have ever talked to anybody that goes away on a sabbatical, goes away on a vacation, and then they come back and all they have is this unlimited well of ideas. Inspiration has struck because they have clarity and they've quieted the noise. And then when they come into the incredibly loud business that they are back into, not only do they have all of these new things that nobody's heard of before, but they have culture shock and then look back over at all this other stuff and all they see is this world of opportunity. And the people that have been grinding and hustling and sitting here and working while you were on vacation are going to be so frustrated that upon your return, you had 1,000 things for them to do. They want to thank you, they want to pat on the back, and they want to keep working on the things that they're working on because they know that they're critical to the mission. Just because you're excited and you see things differently does not mean that it's the right time to act on them. Reconnect with your vision. And it's possible that while you were away, you had some grand idea. You have a new goal. You have a very strong reason to pivot your business. In fact, it may be necessary. Maybe you've been in a plateau and this is the thing that will get you to the next mountaintop. Then what you have to consider is if we go after this, what are we going to stop doing? What are the new goals? How do we reset? And do that exactly the same way that you would at the beginning of the year or mid-year whenever you set your goals. Sit down, figure out what has to stop, figure out what you're going to keep going with, and figure out where you're going to start from where your inspiration came from. Now, assuming that your vision is still your vision, because you've only been gone for 7 days, and you don't need to turn the whole cruise ship for your business, and you don't need to do any of those things, then after you've reset your vision and you have this big old long list of things to do, pick 1 to 3. What am I going to achieve the first week that I'm back? What am I going to focus on? What am I going to deliver? What am I going to improve? 1 to 3. That's it. 90% of what you are doing in your job should be the things that you always do. And the rest is these new things. The other thing that I want to say is that upon you coming back into the business and reviewing and assessing, one of the things that you want to look at is you want to determine if where you've delegated work should stay there forever. This is a great opportunity for you to try on additional responsibilities for employees. Can they take a little bit more? How do they handle it? Is it okay? Because ideally, if you were able to delegate it to them and they were able to do a good job and it didn't overtax them, they should keep it. Your goal as a business owner is to delegate all the real work that you are doing so that mostly what you're doing is managing and innovating. So if the delegation was successful, if it didn't overwork them, if it didn't compel them to feel exhausted and stressed and working 24 hours a day the entire time you were gone, the delegation becomes permanent. You may need to assess job descriptions and do all these other things, which is for another day. But your vacation is a great time to test if somebody can take on additional responsibility. And if it's successful, leave it alone. Just because you come back from vacation does not mean that you need to claw back everything that you delegated. Only pull back the things that you delegated that the team's not ready to take on their own, either because they don't have capacity or they don't have skill. The rest, leave. Over time, you're going to have a lot more free time on your plate. The more vacations you take, the more free time you have, I promise, if you follow this recipe and this method. The next thing that you're going to do when you come back into the business is you're going to reset your routines. So you likely have your schedule built before you go on vacation. Your schedule for the week that you come back is probably already built. You want to make sure that your calendar is working in the way that you want it to. Do you not work Fridays? Make sure you block out Fridays. Do you only work 8 to 2? Make sure that that's blocked out on your calendar. Do you need time blocks on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Make sure that they're scheduled there. Do not let the chaos creep in just because you're back. Don't let everybody have 5 minutes of your time. Don't let everybody do the, hey, do you have a second sort of methodology. If you have a way that you work that has worked well for you and you want to continue to work that way, then reset it. Put it back in place. Make sure everybody's clear. You want to make sure that everybody remembers what your boundaries are. That you don't respond to messages after 5 o'clock, that we don't use text messaging, we use all of our business communication tools, that you don't work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You want to make sure that you leverage your calendar to set yourself up for success and that you actually communicate to your team as well that you're back to business as usual. that everything has now returned to normal and homeostasis. You want to be able to do that because your body remembers that mode of operation. Your body has the ability to recalibrate, and your mind has the ability to recalibrate to those systems and routines because they have been carved into your brain. The best thing that you can do when you return from an unusual period of time, which is also a vacation, and go back into what is your brain understands as usual, is for you to return exactly to those routines. It will be so easy for you to formulate your habits again and to adopt the practices that you have if you do it exactly the same way that you were doing it before you left. It's just science. Your brain is designed to protect you from danger. Your brain is designed to find the easiest way for you to do things, and the easiest way for you to return from vacation is to go back to the way that you were doing things and the way that you were scheduled before you left. So make sure that you reset into your routines. Make sure you're not like trying to do a whole bunch of new habits because you were able to binge podcasts and learn a bunch of stuff. Like, go back to what you were doing, and then if you want to introduce change, introduce it gradually, just as you would if the vacation had never happened. And then the last thing that I'm going to recommend that you do, number 5, is that you debrief with your team. I'm going to recommend that you really kind of have a lessons learned about you being out of the office. You want to find out from them what worked really well. How did it go? What was great? What worked well about the prep? What worked well about while I was gone? What worked well about how I came back? And what didn't? Where do we have opportunity to improve? Where did I miss the mark? Where did something fall through the cracks? You want to open the floor to get the good, the bad, and the ugly, because the best way that you can do that is to be vulnerable and transparent. You want to be able to come into them and say, you know where I struggled not checking email. Share with them what your good, bad, and ugly was about you being away. They'll be much more likely to share that with you. And all that that's going to do is create open lines of communication. It's going to help you understand where there's vulnerability in your business, where refinement is needed, or where maybe you over-delegated or gave too much authority or not enough. It's going to help you get a better perspective of how you are leading the team and how well you're preparing them when you step away. No matter what, you want to make sure that you celebrate their success. You want to recognize them for all of the good things they did while you were gone. There's always good things. Always. So you want to make sure that individually and in public to each other, you are recognizing them for their success during that period of time. And you're going to take all of that feedback and you're going to improve the processes in the business. How you lead, how you manage, how you delegate, how you set boundaries, how you communicate. All of that feedback is so valuable because it's not feedback that you get on a regular basis. These periods when you step away or when you go to a conference or when you do, there's 1,000 ways that you have to step out of the business on a pretty regular basis is my guess. And getting feedback every time it happens helps you be a better leader. It helps you prepare the team better for your absences. Your team and your business becomes stronger when you can look back and be objective about where there are opportunities and where you knocked it out of the park. Coming back into your business should be a good experience for everybody. It should not be disruptive. It should not inject chaos. Emotions should not be running high. Nobody should be panicked or fearful. Whether you were gone for 7 or 30 days, these processes will help you come back into the business, get a lay of the land, understand what worked and what didn't, where you need to focus, and help the team continue to move forward. They're busy. They appreciate that you went on vacation, but they don't care. It was not their vacation. So what they want most from you is to be able to continue to do their job without additional burden, which you may accidentally create if you come in like a bull in a china shop. So I hope that you have gone on a vacation or you have planned a vacation like I asked you to in the last call, and that now you have the steps to plan a thoughtful return. You can do all of this planning before you leave. all of it. You can even schedule feedback sessions before you leave. This is something that does not need to take over and consume your life upon return if you work through it the way that I laid out, and it will give you confidence that there are checks and balances in place so that you can really take the vacation that you want, because you'll be able to come back and learn from it. I hope all of you are able to go on vacation this summer, that you have an amazing time doing whatever you're doing, that you are able to unplug and refresh and relax, and that your businesses are stronger in the back half of the year because of it. Until we speak again, friends, please know that you are wise and you are strong and you are capable, and I believe in you.